What's the big deal about fishing? Importance and urgency of ocean training. Even after True Father's holy ascension, the world is still troubled by sexual immorality represented by the LGBT movement, violence and conflicts, materialism, and even communism. How are world peace and world unity supposed to occur based on True Father's plans? This video series is called the Guideposts to World Peace and Unification, which examines how True Father planned to complete the world of peace from the perspective of Ocean Providence. In this video, we will examine what True Father said were the main purposes of ocean training. Why did True Father train himself, all leaders and members alike, on the ocean? Why did he conduct so many ocean training and tournaments? We then will talk about how True Father said, the ocean is the shortcut to world unification. What did he mean by that? And finally, why did True Father say that fishing is a strategy to overcome communism? What was the purpose of fishing and ocean training? Why did True Father train us so fiercely on the ocean, even at the cost of sacrificing his own family, using up the precious and irreplaceable time of his earthly life as the parents of all humankind? True Father engaged in ocean training for members everywhere he went. In Gloucester, Hudson River, Kodiak, Alaska, Pantanal in South America, Hawaii, Yosu, Korea, and many others. The leaders of the unification movement all had to go through ocean training. He required all graduates from the Unification Theological Seminary in Barrytown to undergo ocean church training. He repeatedly held intense fishing training workshops around the globe, such as tuna fishing in Boston, fishing in Kodiak, Alaska, and others. He even made fishing in Pantanal a condition to participate in the dedication ceremony for the Chanjangun in Chongpyeong. Until he ascended to the spirit world in 2012, he continued to hold the ocean leadership workshops in Yosu, Korea, some 68 times in total, for Japanese women. Why did True Father, the second coming whom mankind has been waiting for, go so far as to spend such immeasurable and precious time on boats, relentlessly taking all of us out to fishing to train us? To summarize True Father's words regarding ocean training through various fishing and boat maneuvering training, he aimed to 1. Train youths physically and mentally to become leaders in the ocean era. 2. Establish marine businesses. 3. Take the leadership of the world. 4. Solve the problems of world hunger, which is the manifestation of poverty and inequality in the world. And 5. Build a substantial kingdom of heaven on earth. It is very clear that he had all of these extensive goals, if we only examine his words. He showed us his seriousness and its urgency through his own actions, investing in the ocean, and going out fishing relentlessly. In order to achieve all these goals, he had to train his leaders through ocean training. He even went as far as to say that the base qualification to become a leader is knowledge and ability on the sea.
Once a person receives intense training to become a fisherman, he can go anywhere in the world and become a leader of people. Learning to be a fisherman is good leadership training. As a peace-loving global citizen, Chapter 7, page 305. The ocean has everything to do with the future. Don't you know that? You have to become interested in the ocean, or otherwise, you will just disappear into history. In the future, the qualification for leadership will be to know about the ocean. The basic knowledge will be how to handle a boat. To know about the ocean and to be able to go upon it will become the two basic qualifications for leadership in the future. God's Will in the Ocean, Chapter 3, Ocean Church and America.
Also, the purpose of ocean training given through Ocean Church and Ocean Challenge was not just to train one's mind and body. He repeatedly professed that these trained members shall engage in global oceanic businesses, and this will lead to a solution for the problem of world hunger, which was his goal.
I created something that did not exist in the US, by sending out people to pioneer Ocean Church. I created ocean churches in 30 of the most important seacoast locations in America. We can pursue seafood business, but we can also enter the charter boat fishing business. This is the foundation for the global recreational fishing business I will create in the future. I train people and built Ocean Church as an enterprise that gives tours to people who enjoy fishing as a hobby. Chaembyeomok Yang, Book 10, 186-306, February 6, 1989. I saw that the key to future food problems lies in the ocean, and have endeavored to develop a wide range of oceanic businesses from nothing. I spent more time in the ocean than anyone else, thinking on the ocean, praying on the ocean, and struggled on the ocean. How much time and effort did I invest? You cannot imagine it. How valuable it is, considering that catching a single fish leads to restoring several people. One time in the middle of the night, I went out to the sea, and I proclaimed the ownership of the oceans, saying, I am doing this to lay a strong foundation for oceanic businesses, for the sake of future humanity. God said to me at the time, you are right. The Unification Church and the Land and the Sea, in 1991.
The ocean is the shortcut to world unification. In his autobiography, True Father said that after traveling around the world, he felt that the most pressing issue in the world is the hunger problem. It can be said that it is logical to build oceanic businesses, to secure more food sources to ultimately solve the hunger problem, but if we further examine his words, we can see that there was even a grander goal, such as uniting the world, and going beyond communism. Presently, the world is plagued by religiously motivated terrorism, uncontrolled environmental destruction, violence, and conflicts. Even within the Christian cultural sphere, people still suffer from poverty and hunger. Problems common to all humankind are unlikely to end with the shackles such as atheism and nationalism. True Father, who tried to unify such a world, positioned the ocean businesses as a shortcut to world unification.
We have to make this foundation for the entire world. This is the fastest way to bring people and nations together. I am always thinking how this can be done, and that is why I am making a foundation on the ocean. When we make this foundation, our direction towards the future will be straight. God's Will in the Ocean, Chapter 11. In the future, through my leading role in the recreation industry, I will create a global organization that will bring together people from all walks of life, including those in the financial field, based on their shared love of recreational activities. I believe this will be a shortcut to guiding all people toward a world of peace. That is why for several decades, I have been researching, planning, and pioneering all sorts of ocean-related businesses. Chaembyeomok Yang, Book 10 252-210, December 30, 1993. The oceans can become a central point for bringing the world together. As a peace-loving global citizen, Chapter 7, page 305.
We must further examine True Father's words to understand why the ocean is the shortcut or the fastest way to unification. But we know from a few of his words that true unification will not occur without the world becoming equalized, as water naturally flows to become level. It is difficult for a rich child and a starving child to become united. By solving the problem of hunger, the most acute manifestation of human inequality, the unification of the world becomes finally possible.
In order to build a united world, we should not be content to eat good food and live a good life in beautiful places. We should want to bring equalization so that all humankind can live at an equal level. Chaembyeomok Yang, Book 10, Chapter 1, Section 2. Human beings are created so that their mind and body become one. Something similar is true for the world we live in. The world can be completely unified only when there is both physical communication and communication of heart. As a peace-loving global citizen, Chapter 7, page 345.
Fishing is a strategy to overcome communism. True Father spoke about training as a fisherman as the solution to communism when he was speaking in the United States about Ocean Church activities in the 1980s.
I made up my mind. I know that you can become such people. Even the PhD graduates must come to Ocean Church. They have to go this course. By training in this way, we will surely develop the kind of leadership that can truly teach this nation and show it the way into the future. I sincerely want to see you become those men and women. Look at the path I have walked. I have trained myself as a fisherman. Why? Not for myself, but to save the nation. I have determined to find a way over and beyond communism. I have been fighting all my life against communism. America must not be lost to this ideology. That is why for more than 30 years, I have given every inch of my life for this cause. God's Will in the Ocean, Chapter 4. Why we have an ocean church.
But how does fishing or solving the hunger problem overcome communism? How is it related? If we looked into history, we can find that the hunger problem, that must be resolved by the oceanic industry, is directly tied to the origin and solution to the ideological problems, such as materialism, atheism, and communism. The introduction to the exposition of divine principle explains that the rise of both materialism, atheism, and communism was motivated by the starving masses. It is written there that the Christian society, which had degenerated into a dead body of clergy trailing empty slogans, did not help the starving masses, who determined that there is no God, urging the rise of materialism and thus, atheism. Then this degenerated Christian society itself became the hotbed of materialism, the fertile soil in which communism flourished.
When ecclesiastic love waned, when waves of capitalistic greed surged across Christian Europe, when starving masses cried out bitterly in the slums, the promise of their salvation came not from heaven, but from the earth. Its name was communism. Christianity, though it professed the love of God, had degenerated into a dead body of clergy, trailing empty slogans. It was then only natural that a banner of rebellion would be raised, arguing that a merciless God who would allow such suffering could not exist. Hence, modern materialism was born. Western society became a hotbed of materialism. It was the fertile soil in which communism flourished. Exposition of the Divine Principle, Introduction.
Hence, according to the divine principle, the hunger problem of the starving masses was the cause of the spread of materialism, atheism, and even communism. We can see this also in history. It is usually accepted by historians that one of the main causes of the Russian Revolution of 1917, which was the first establishment of a communist state in history, was due to food shortages. This photo shows the scene played out on 23rd of February in the old Russian calendar, when workers at Putilov, Petrograd's largest industrial plant, rallied for International Women's Day, which central slogan was, "Feed the children." It is clear to see that the method to root out communism is to solve the food problem and corruption of Christian society. Let us look further into the link between communism, materialism, the pursuit of equality, and Christianity. Socialism and liberalism centered on materialism, communism and collapse of sexual morality. As was discussed in the divine principle, materialism ideology stems from the disillusionment of the people in corrupt Christian society. Although many of us associate socialism with communism, the divine principle teaches us that socialism is not necessarily evil, it was a natural pursuit of equality. However, socialism was hijacked by Satan and developed into communism centered on materialism. It is explained in the latter part of the divine principle in chapter 4, section 7, that the society centered on interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universally shared values is a society with God-centered socialism.
Because human beings are created to live in an ideal society, they will inevitably pursue a socialistic ideal, as they strive for freedom and democracy and further search into their original nature. This is particularly true at the consummation of providential history, when this ideal can actually be realized. As this natural desire springs forth from within, politics and democracy, which is shaped by the will of the people, will also move in that direction. Eventually, a socialistic society embodying God's ideal will be established. Exposition of the Divine Principle, Part 2, Chapter 4, Section 7.2.6. Democracies of two types arose with the purpose of dismantling absolute monarchy and transferring sovereignty to the people. Likewise, movements to further the ideals of interdependence, mutual prosperity and universally shared values arose on God's side, while communism was born on Satan's side, in order to demolish economic systems, which concentrated a society's wealth in the hands of a privileged few. Each of these movements has sought to establish a system which would distribute wealth more equally among people. The aspirations to socialism on both sides have arisen in their providential striving to realize a society based on a truly democratic economic system. Exposition of the Divine Principle, Part 2, Chapter 4, Section 7.2.6.
We can summarize the development of communism in the following way: corrupt Christian society, materialism, socialism with materialism, and finally, leading to communism. How about the collapse of sexual immorality represented in the modern day by the LGBT movement? In the first place, LGBT is not something any religion approves of. However, why do movements such as LGBT tend to become more prevalent in the free democratic world like the United States and Taiwan than in authoritarian states such as China and Islamic nations? The LGBT movement in modern liberalism can be seen as a parallel to communism and socialism. Just as socialism is a pursuit of economic equality, liberalism is a pursuit of equal human rights. Just as communism was born from socialism violated by materialism, the collapse of sexual immorality represented by the LGBT movement was born from liberalism, violated by materialism. This is why the LGBT movement tends to spread easily in a free democratic society. Human freedom, originally something good, was violated by materialism in the contradictory Christian cultural sphere, leading to the collapse of sexual morality. The corrupt Christian society leads to materialism, which leads to liberalism with materialism, which then leads to collapse of sexual morality. In other words, both communism and sexual immorality represented by the LGBT movement are deeply associated with 1. The degeneration of Christian society, and 2. Humanity's natural pursuit of equality. Resolving Christianity's contradictions. Let us go back to discuss the rise of materialism to understand what the divine principle refers to as the degeneration of Christian society. As was discussed before, materialism and atheism spread as the starving masses questioned, how can God exist in such a ruthless world, after they found no salvation from the Christian society? These starving masses may have found salvation if the Christians truly practiced its tenets: love thy neighbor and love thy enemy. In modern days, nations in the Protestant Christian cultural realms are undoubtedly the most prosperous. If these advanced nations went beyond race and nations to practice Jesus' words, if you want to be perfect, sell your possessions and give to the poor, Matthew 19:21, inequality across national borders may not have persisted as much as today. The world is divided between the starving, suffering nations and the rich nations that struggle with obesity, causing the spread of communism among the poor nations. The popularity of atheism and socialism among young people in the United States today stems in many instances from their grievances against nationalism and inequality, which are the contradictions within today's Christian societies. If the problem of the starving masses, which is the manifestation of human inequality, and the ideological contradiction in modern human society, is solved by the practice of true Christian spirit, following Jesus' words, there will be no basis for the spread of atheism and communism. If the Christian cultural sphere returns to its intended position centered on Jesus and the Lord of the Second Advent, and solve the hunger problems of the world through Ocean Providence, which is to be led by blessed families and centered on true parents, the unification between Catholic and Protestant as well as all religions could have become a reality. This is why True Father has been saying that the Oceanic Foundation is the fastest way to unite people and nations. In many instances, True Father spoke about the need to solve the hunger problem before the world of peace can come.
We cannot build a world of peace without first resolving the food issue. As a peace-loving global citizen, Chapter 7, page 316. True peace will not come as long as humanity does not solve the problem of hunger. If the person next to me is about to die of hunger, peace is a mere luxury. As a peace-loving global citizen, Chapter 7, page 321.
In order to build an ideal world of peace, True Father, who is the Lord of the Second Advent, must solve poverty and hunger. World of peace in heaven on earth is a conflict-free and hunger-free world. Though Jesus enabled spiritual salvation, true parents, the Lord of the Second Coming, must bring salvation to both spirit and flesh on this earth. Hence, solving the hunger problem was the substantial and practical plan True Father devised to solve the contradiction of Christianity, solve the ideological conflicts of materialism and communism, and finally, bring peace to the world. To this end, True Father demanded that we undergo intense ocean training, continuously went out to the sea himself, and asked us to love the ocean until the last moment of his earthly life. True Father was in search of people who can implement the plans to unify the world and bring the ultimate resolution to the hunger problem, enabling a world of peace for the first time in human history. Equalization, or the resolution to inequality in various aspects, is an unavoidable subject of discussion for us unificationist families who are proclaiming peace and unity of the world. If we truly are the children of true parents, we cannot ignore this and continue living our lives.
My purpose of doing business and making money is to perform the role of bonding all the people of the world, whether rich or poor. My financial foundation is to be shared with those in poverty, for the liberation of all humankind. This is the equalization that I am trying to realize. Developed countries try to place weaker nations under their control, but they should not do that. Rather, they have to walk with those nations hand in hand. In this way, all nations link together laterally. Yet, because I work for this, I am stigmatized by people in the advanced countries, saying that I am trying to undermine their national economies. All I am doing is advocating for the equalization of the nations of the world. I am trying to place all nations on an equal footing. Yet, to this day, some countries in Europe still continue to exploit Africa and implement policies to perpetually enslave the nations there. Likewise, the United States implements policies putting South America under its control. I'm trying to do away with all of this. January 26, 1992 Chumbomo Gyeong, Chapter 10.
Thank you so much for watching this far. This has been part 1 of the video series, Guideposts to World Peace and Unification. We will continue this series in the next video. In the upcoming video, we will examine the unique mission of the Eve Nation in the perspective of Ocean Providence. Why do you think true parents train so many Japanese women missionaries, over 7,000 of them, as fishing captains? We will also examine what ultimately happened to the results of all the ocean training that true parents engaged in. If we close in on True Parents' Ocean Providence, we can clearly see that it was not a mere hobby, training, or side business, but a vast global vision to tie everything together, from witnessing, education, to the economic foundation. If you want to just go ahead and read the whole article this video series is based on, you can go to our website, oceanhobbyseminar.com, and read the entire article there. The 2-part article is titled, The Guideposts to World Peace and Unification. All links are in the description below. If you would like to get updated as soon as we post another video, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you, and God bless.